Okay, we're looking at chapter 44 in your textbook this week, kidneys and excretion. I'm going to just do the first lesson is just going to be going over an overview of how urine is formed and just a quick overview of the kidneys. What you see here is that organs of excretion include the skin for salts and perspiration, the lungs for carbon dioxide, the liver for bile pigments. Okay, we're also going to be talking about this with deamination, and the kidneys for excretion of what is deaminated nitrogen wastes in the urine. So those are your four organs of excretion, and we're really going to focus in today just on this organ right here. Okay, they are located towards the back of your body, and they function in osmoregulation, maintaining water, homeostasis, blood pressure, blood pH, and removal of nitrogen wastes. Okay, well, here is the general strategy. Deamination, if you remember your biochemistry, the amine group, if you're eating nucleic acids and proteins and they get broken down for energy, enzymes remove the nitrogen in the form of ammonia. Well, that's really toxic, and that's okay if you're a fish because you're in a water environment and that just go right through you. But what happens if you're in land, like a human? This is too toxic, it would kill you. So the ammonia combines with another waste product, carbon dioxide, to form urea. And this is far less toxic. And that forms urine. That's where the urine comes from in urine. So that's most terrestrial animals. Uric acid is another byproduct. It's a paste that gets secreted by insects, reptiles, and birds. But we also have uric acid as a byproduct of the breakdown of purine-rich nucleic acids. And these can build up, and if they do in your system, you get something called gout. Okay, these painful crystals, there they are. And this person would have to find a diet that is not purine nucleic acid rich. Okay, so the kidneys are paired, the ureters transport the waste from the kidneys to the bladder, and then it voids via the urethra. Obviously, a guy's urethra is longer than a woman's urethra. And this just goes through a little bit about it under voluntary control until about 600 milliliters. Build up of urine, you're going to lose, wet your pants. Okay. Okay, regions of the kidney, the cortex, the outer part, medulla are these pyramidal pink structures right here. And then the third part, the renal pelvis, is this part right here where the urine collects. There they are. Renal columns, renal pyramids, medulla, cortex, okay, and the pelvis, the pelvis. Okay, the nephron is the functional unit, and there's about 1 million nephrons per kidney. So this is the functional unit of the kidney. This is where urine is made. It's supplied by an afferent arteriole, which is under relatively high blood pressure. And then that forms a ball of cells called a glomerulus. And then that leads via an efferent arteriole, forms a peritubular capillary network. Okay. And then this leaves, and this is clean blood. Don't get this confused. That's going to go to your renal vein, which is going to go back to your inferior vena cava with clean blood. Dirty blood is coming from an artery. Renal artery is going to from the renal artery. This is dirty blood. Needs to be filtered. And this picture here is an electron microscope diagram of a glomerulus, the ball of cells, ball of capillaries. So the nephron, um, it, blood is going to leave the glomerulus. Remember, that's blood. So the nephron is the Bowman's capsule, and then the filtrate moves into the proximal, the loop of Henle, the distal, and then the collecting duct. And sometimes I've seen that the collecting duct is not referred to as part of the nephron. Okay, so these would be parts of the nephron. That's what it looks like right there, with its blood supply around it, starting with the afferent arteriole. Okay, four major processes: filtration, reabsorption, secretion, and excretion. The first part, filtration. Second part, reabsorption, back into the blood of the good stuff. Secretion, bad stuff from the blood into the distal tubule, and then excretion via the collecting duct right there. Okay. Okay, filtration. The glomerulus is under relatively high blood pressure. Okay. Okay. And that is going to force via hydrostatic water pressure what we call filtrate. Everything that gets through. Okay. Substances that are too big, like blood cells, stay in the efferent, but substances that are small, like water, glucose, amino acids, and wastes, can pass in and form the filtrate. Reabsorption. We want the good stuff to be going back into our peritubular capillary network. Sodium, amino acids, glucose, these are actively transported. Okay, they're pumped back using ATP to pump them back. Now, what's going to follow the sodium is chloride ions. Okay, the descending loop will also reabsorb water. The ascending loop will reabsorb more sodium. And now we've got some special cases here and here where we use hormones, which we'll look at in a moment, as a third place of reabsorption, but only under hormone control. Secretion, things like drugs and whatnot, excess protons, they're going to get secreted into the distal tubule by active transport. So that's a third stage. And then there is excretion. Okay, and notice that the urea is going to get more and more concentrated as it goes through the nephron because all the good stuff is getting reabsorbed back into the blood, including water. And so the urea, which forms the urine, becomes more and more concentrated. Okay, hormones. It's on page 970 to 971. Two hormones I want to talk about is ADH, antidiuretic hormone. It's released from the brain, and it actually acts on your collecting duct and to a lesser degree your distal tubule. So here's your collecting duct. And when this hormone is released, it actually causes water channels called aquaporins to increase. And those water channels make water more reabsorbed, more permeable. Water can then leave and go back into your blood supply. So when would that happen? If you're really thirsty, for example. Now there's drugs called diuretics that actually going to make you pee more because they prevent ADH from being released. So this is like an extra 15% of water being reabsorbed. So alcohol actually makes you pee more. It's a diuretic. Tea, coffee make you pee more. They're diuretics. Aldosterone is a second hormone, and this acts on the distal tubules to increase sodium reabsorption. Well, if you're going to get more sodium back in the blood, that's going to draw more chloride, and that's going to draw even more water. And what's going to happen is your blood volume and therefore your blood pressure are going to go up. So these maintain homeostasis, body in balance, okay? If your water levels are too low or if your blood pressure has dropped too much, these hormones can be released. Okay, and we've talked a little bit about ADH um, and aldosterone. Okay, this diagram is excellent. Spend some time going through the diagram. It reviews everything we have just talked about. I want you to do pages 60 to 20 of the workbook and do the self-quiz. And the next lecture will be on disorders.